Having a great practice partner can make all the difference. And a lot of times, a great practice partner is looking for another great practice partner. So if you want to have great practice partners, you yourself need to make sure you're a great practice partner. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the things I've learned to become a great practice partner, some of the things I teach my athletes. And if you think of it like this, wrestlers pay coaches to do private one-on-one sessions. And it makes those athletes better faster. And the main reasoning behind that is because they have a better practice partner. They have someone who's going to give them the right looks, who's going to help them through positioning, and ultimately help them improve at a much faster rate. So I want my athletes and I want you guys to be the practice partner that I would be if I was wrestling my athletes. And here's some of the things that I'm looking for. So one thing is you want to balance the going live and not giving any look, right? So when I'm drilling, I can go live, which isn't right, or I can be like a fish and just flop over, which is also not right. So the type of things I'm doing is I'm giving my partner a variety of looks. So say my partner's hitting a repetition on me, they're hitting a double leg, a single leg, a takedown. I'm going to give them different defensive looks, but I'm always going to let them score. And if I feel like I'm beating them too much, I'll always stop my defense and allow them to improve. So for example, my partner shoots it on me, I sprawl, they may start, driving up to their feet, I might push their head to the inside, they may shelf the leg up and try to finish backside, I may kick away a little bit at the end, but I'm never going to not allow them to finish the technique because that becomes the annoying side. I mean, I'm sure I've wrestled practice partners who essentially just go live. And, especially when you're learning a move and you've never done it before, you don't need someone to go live with. You need someone to, help you make sure the technique is going right. So it's a balance, right? It's not going live, and it's not just falling over. It's not just like letting the person take you down and just falling over, not giving any looks. Because the reality is in a match, when you shoot, the person's going to give you a defense. And if all your repetitions, all your shots are no defense, you're not going to be prepared for the scenario in a real match. And one thing I said a little earlier is the variety matters. So if my partner's shooting on me, I'm not just going to sprawl every time. One time I'm going to go for an ankle and try to funk roll him. One time I'm going to kick away. One time I'm going to, shin whizzer, give him different looks so that he's prepared for the variety of defenses he's going to encounter in an actual match. And what I'll normally do is, if it's a brand new technique, I'll give no defense to start, help him get that technique down, and then as he has the understanding of the move, that's when you can start adding defense. So to be a good practice partner, you have to give the right looks, and you have to almost spar through these positions so that they get better. Correct? And you'll kind of get better with your defense too. You're not just flopping over. You're doing a little bit of defense. You're getting the feel of, a variety of, defenses that you're working on. If you guys haven't tried the Iron Faith Wrestling Assessment out, click the link in the description and take the test. It's going to give you information on any topic you're having issues with. It's going to evaluate what you're having struggles with, and it's going to give you an email with different videos and topics that can help you in that situation. So click the link in the description and get that assessment done. Now, the next thing that I think is important is consistency, right? If you have a practice partner, a lot of times you're on a high school team or you're on a club team, you got 2 or 3 main practice partners, you gotta be at practice. I know it's a weird thing to say, but high school a little bit less, but at a club like Iron Faith, these guys are relying on you just like you're relying on them. So you gotta make it to practice. You can't, that practice partner is waiting for you to come in to have that great workout. And if you're not there, you're hurting him vice versa, right? So you got to be consistent. You got to be at the practices. And a lot of times, I think you have to have similar goals. You want to be surrounding yourself with people that are trying to achieve the same thing. If you have a practice partner who doesn't really care and you care a lot, it's going to be hard to go, to have a high intensity practice because they don't really, they don't have the same goals as you. They don't really want to achieve those things. So I'm looking for people that want the same thing as me. We both want to win states. We both want to wrestle in college or whatever the case might be. So I'm looking for, someone who's consistent, who's serious, and has the same goals as me. Now I want to go back to the drilling I was talking about. And I want to talk about one other thing. You're keeping your partner technique accountable, or keeping them accountable with their technique. So what I mean is, a common thing I always see is a person shoots a single leg, does a backside finish, and goes to climb up and reaches around the waist. You don't reach around the waist when you're finishing a single leg because the person's going to whizzer and put your face back in the mat. So as you're drilling, if your partner makes a technical mistake that you see, keep them accountable. You don't have to you can say it with words. Hey, cover lower. You can also just, give a little harder defense in that scenario and be like, hey, listen, you messed up there. Or like literally if I'm doing a one-on-one private session and I'm drilling with a kid, right, and he hits a shot, he goes backside finish, he shelves it up, and he goes to my waist, I'll whizzer, I'll put his face back in the mat, and I'll say, hey, drop your shoulder lower and finish the correct way. All right? Or another thing I'll even do, it depends on their skill level, is I'll tell them what I'm going to do beforehand. So I'll be like, hey, I'm going to kick, hold on tight. They're trying to finish their shot. Hey, I'm going to kick, hold on tight, and I kick, hold. All right, shelf it up and finish. Now that depends on the level. I'm sure if you have someone that on the same level as you and you're talking them through the technique, that might be a little annoying, like every rep. That's more of, I think, in a coaching scenario. But it does help. Keep your partner accountable with their technique. If they do the wrong thing and it's the wrong thing, sometimes I actually won't let them finish the rep in some cases. So I know earlier I said don't, make sure they're the one scoring, but sometimes their technique is fully off and they made a mistake. It's like, hey, listen, you're not gonna get that takedown. You didn't cover the right way, or you split your hands and did the wrong technique, or you're trying to go crack down when it's not there. So I'm gonna keep my partner accountable because I want them to hit their technique perfect. Here's another thing about a great practice partner. A great practice partner is learning with you. And here's what I mean. I was talking to Jason Nolf a couple days ago, and he was saying he learned a lot from his practice partner. He named one of his practice partners, and he said, he learned how to scramble from this guy he wrestled with in high school. And I think a lot of times you can learn from your peers, and you should be. So I think part of that drilling process is talking through techniques. A lot of times you might be in a room with 40 guys, and the coach might only talk to you 2 or 3 times in that while he's walking around. And you got to use each other a little bit. And if you don't know the right technique, you don't know the right technique. But maybe you watched a technique video before you came into class, or you were struggling with something in the last class, and you're working through that. And I think a lot of times that helps people get their technique better much quicker, right? Because they're not only using the coach, they're using each other to help each other get better. And I've heard that a lot. Or even I see it even if one of my better wrestlers in the room is hitting a certain technique, right? Say he's hitting a roll through tilt or something like that, and he's doing it in competition. The rest of my athletes will all of a sudden start hitting those techniques. So you learn from your peers, and I think a good practice partner is someone who is, talking through the technique and trying to, be creative and figure the techniques out in the practice room. A lot of times you might just be talking about nonsense, talking about playing video games or whatever it might be. Instead, a good practice partner, a good pair is going to be talking about the wrestling technique. It's going to be, talking about things that are going to benefit them at the practice room. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is a good practice partner is very competitive. So during that live portion, they're competitive. They're going at it. They're not holding back. They're attacking. They're not feeling sorry for you. If they're better than you, they're beating on you. It's not a big deal. So for the live portion, a good practice partner is very competitive. So that's kind of all I have. Again, I'll recap real quick. You want to find a good practice partner or be a good practice partner yourself. You want to, one, find somebody that has the same goals as you, that's consistent in coming to practice and wants the same thing as you. Find someone who's going to give you different looks without going live and is going to keep you accountable with your technique, making sure your technique is correct. And find someone you're going to learn from, that you're able to talk through techniques and work through, moves you're working on and be creative through that process. So, and the last thing, I don't know if I said it already, but the last thing is be competitive. During that live portion, a good practice partner is going to get after it. They're not going to sit down and feel sorry for their partner if they're beating them. They're going to challenge their partner and they're going to go after it. So that's all I got for today. Feel free to comment below any topics you want to see. This is my first time. I think I might have did something like this before, but I want to start doing this. And if you guys enjoy it, if you guys want to see more of this, I'll definitely still be doing my regular technique videos. But if you guys enjoyed this, feel free to like and comment any topics you guys want to hear.